it nearly cost my marriage. My wife was so upset that here is a black led agency and they had the audacity to say that her husband, her head of this family, was seen as nobody, worthless, indispensable piece of trash to be thrown out. Um, the struggle was real. Um, the house was, we had to go into forbearance.
Welcome to Surviving and Thriving, the Black Experience. Here we talk about the real adversities Black Americans face while navigating corporate spaces, educational institutions, and the justice system. We name the pressures, expose the barriers, and share strategies to help you adapt, endure, and move forward while protecting your peace. So let's get into today's discussion. I want to go ahead and take a second because right when we started, I saw you had a very, very nice sweater on. So can you tell us about your sweater? Can you go ahead and lift it so we can go ahead and see it? And can you tell us about it? It says, "Speak out against bullying." Can you tell us about that?
Yes. All right. This is my oldest son's project. He does a workshop on anti-bullying. He's also a musician and a singer, so he has many projects going on.
Mhm.
And well, he's a podcaster also. So
Awesome.
yeah, uh, so yeah, he's doing quite a bit, but his bread and butter is pretty much gospel.
Okay.
So yeah, proud of him.
All right.
He
Shout
goes by
out
the stage name of Space.
a space. Okay.
Space,
Space. Okay.
like in this,
And,
yeah,
oh, space, literally like the moon, the star. Oh,
space.
okay. All right.
Yes.
Unique.
Hey, buddy. I know. I just talked to mommy, Grammy. Okay, you be good boy. I'll catch you later. All right. Mommy, charge, Papa. Yeah, I have to charge it. All right, be good.
I'm about to say life don't
All
stop.
right, he was about to let the dog in.
Okay. I'm trying to tell you, I literally sat here during things like, how did you get out the cage? Like this is the life we live. Look, life keep on going. Um, so as a black father, how did you realize that you were raising your children in a world that may not see them fully?
Um, going through that stage, when the children were first born, I'm thinking this world can be very hard. It could be treacherous. And my nephew, he's a minister, and so he preached a sermon maybe 2 weeks ago. And you know how the old people sing this song about going through this tedious journey?
Mm-hmm.
You ever hear that word, that
Mm-hmm.
song? So I'm thinking, hey, I got to prepare them for this tedious journey. And I'm thinking about how the Israelites in the Bible went 40 years in the wilderness because they were hard headed.
Have you ever wondered why it's taking you so long to get to your promised land? Did you go through a 40-year journey that should have taken you 11 days? I did. Let me explain. I just realized this. Recently, I was looking through some journals that I had written. I was just decluttering my home and I found some journals. And in those journals, I talked about a situation and I started talking about that situation in 2006. The next entry that I read that had the same issue was 2012. In December of 22 is when I said I'd had enough. I'm sitting here at my son's baseball game and this just came to my recollection. I had the answer all along. I had the answer way back when, and I was just too afraid to do something. I realized from 2006 until 2022, I had been complaining to God about the same thing. And he was just saying, you're not following directions. I already told you what to do, and I'm not telling you again. He made me so uncomfortable in the last couple of years that I had no choice but to move. When God wants you to move and he's ready for you to do it and he's tired of you just going around in circles, he is going to make you uncomfortable. So uncomfortable that you just have to move. It was nagging at me. And I moved. I was scared, but I moved. Don't allow yourself to be stuck in a situation for 20, 30, 40 years when God is trying to get you out before it even starts.
Yep.
So I'm teaching them, hey, we have to have a single focus. We're here to survive because the world doesn't want to survive. My boys, I tell them, hey, you have a target on you, target on your back that they want to take you out and fight against what the world has um, pretty much programmed you to think that, hey, you're this, you're that, you can't do this, you're unable. I said, yes, you can. You know, you have a mind, you have strength, you have resilience, you have a focus, you have faith, you have a purpose. And so those are all things that kind of instill in our boys, things that we've worked to instill in our daughter. So our boys came first. Oldest, he's now about, ooh, I'm gonna say 36. I don't know the ages exactly.
Exception and outrage, disgrace. For shame. Oh, shame, for shame, for shame.
I'm sorry.
He gonna
The
see this.
youngest oh shoot, yeah, he will see this. The youngest, he's about 31, about to be 32.
Mhm.
And my daughter, she's 27 or 28. So yeah, we have to instill them that hey, you have you have everything you need with inside of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, working within institutions, have you ever felt like you had to code switch to survive? And what did that cost you?
Mm. Yes. Institutions like the school system, CPS, Chicago Public Schools, third largest school system in the United States. Um, my goodness, there were times when I'm up for promotions and slated to be in these positions of, I am gonna say power, but influence. I'll call it influence. And I get overlooked. They choose somebody of the lighter hue. They say that you may know a lot, but you're not the right person at the right time. Another situation is when I was up for my doctorate, and when I approached the professor who had that huge study, and I just wanted a little piece of it, he told me point blank that, hey, I have to check with my other co-authors, and I don't think I can do that at this time. And me thinking, hey, you made a promise. A promise to me is your word is your bond. And you just said no without checking with them. You just told me point blank, I can't do it. I would think somebody who cared about you would check and see if it's real, it can happen. And being in a situation of leadership where I was running an agency and then to be told that, hey, we don't believe in so many words, that we don't believe in you anymore. This is not in our plans. You are not wanted. And they close your organization. And the last one, my goodness, big and bold. I haven't shared with many, but I will share with this platform that I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and it was stage one. While I was helping to run an agency, I was vice president, and I was running 5 different sections of this organization. And my mother, God bless her, she passed away Thanksgiving. Um, what was that? 2026. And that was the hardest time for me. Being the oldest son, and then I come back to the agency. They didn't acknowledge her passing. They didn't acknowledge me going away to California to lay her to rest. I come back to the agency the next year in January, and they say, we're going in a different direction. Dr. Thompson, uh, your services are no longer needed. And mind you, I'm thinking, what? I'm running five of your departments. Everything is thriving. We're making great gains with our adult population. They're seeing the psychiatrists, the doctors. We're providing housing for them. And yet you say, my services are no longer needed. We're going in a different direction. I didn't have to code switch with that because the agency was black owned, black led. But my heart was broken that we're serving our people, and yet you don't see the strength, you don't see the need for services that I can help provide. Oh, I'll leave it at that.
I'm gonna say thank you so much for feeling comfortable enough to share your story and how vulnerable that situation is.
You're welcome.
Um, I I take it as a complete blessing for you to be able to tell your story, even in regards to your health condition as well too, and to feel comfortable enough to say that here. Um, I feel like all too often, of course, you know my story as well too, but all too often that your services are no longer needed.
Yes.
But let's rewind, right? You said you were over five departments, right? But
Yes.
you were getting paid an X amount of dollar to take care
Yes.
of five departments.
Hmm. Not
Um,
my total worth, of course. Yes.
exactly, exactly, because each department should have its own department head. So let's just call a thing in regards to our black bodies, our black spirits, our black knowledge is used and or exploited in different ways. Intellectual properties, right? I just actually had another
Hmm.
guest on talking about that, are in fact used until they want to move on. And
Hmm.
that's a really, really hard pill to in fact swallow. So my question for you would be, what did that cost you in that situation?
Um, it nearly cost my marriage. My wife was so upset that here is a black led agency, and they had the audacity to say that her husband, her head of this family, was seen as nobody, worthless, indispensable piece of trash to be thrown out. Um, the struggle was real. Um, the house was, we had to go into forbearance. Having the house being in forbearance, having to struggle to try to find finances and ability to keep the house, something we worked so hard for. The struggle to feed and uh, protect and care for our loved ones was a really hard time. Uh, so I lost that security. I lost my feeling of worth, being able to supply and protect and provide for my people. Um, but you're going to ask, how do we get through? Again, the family, the extended village, the network, people from Atlanta, her best buddy, people from here in Chicago, people from California, those who love and care about us came to the rescue.
Mhm.
And then the network of individuals who hear or hear about something and know something and tell you, and then you go out, you interview, you network, and you get an opening, and you go from there. So God is a good God.
Yes, he is all the time.
Mhm.
Um, have you ever had to advocate for someone inside a system that wasn't designed to protect them? And what happened? So it kind of seems like you yourself lived that in regards to having to navigate it and having to learn how to protect yourself. Have you ever had to protect someone else?
I think as Black people who care about others, we do it all the time. Um, I've been a college professor teaching social work and sociology courses, and I've had to advocate for my students. Most of my students were Black and brown. Those who are first year or first opportunity um, college students, and majority of them were reaching beyond what they thought was possible. So I advocate for their knowledge and their well-being. That hey, you can do it. Don't let anything get in your way. And so the students first, and then after that, it would be families, other Black men, single mothers, making sure that they know that hey, there are helps available. There are people who love you. There are churches, there are organizations, there's places that I want you to get in contact with and connect with, so that you can have an opportunity to go further and provide for your loved ones too.
So let's see. Was there a case or a client or a moment in your like social work career that changed how you see the justice system?
Good one. Yes, there was. I've worked in the juvenile justice system for a good while, and I'll give you an example of one young man. At the time of his incarceration, I believe he was 13 or 14 at the oldest. He has been charged with adult case, adult charge. Mind you, he did not pull a trigger, kill anybody, or hurt anybody. He was the lookout for the others who had convinced him to be there at that particular situation and time. His crime was that he made the wrong connections, the wrong friends. He wanted to belong. He was holding onto a bicycle. He held a bicycle while the others created a
And
crime.
based on Mr. Gathrights' age, physical abilities, things like that, do you think that the prison would benefit from him in a work capacity if he were sentenced to life without parole?
I say yes, with my experience, not only just in classification, but as former warden and even as a jail administrator. He's someone that's young, he's healthy. In reality, we need that labor, we need that sweat equity, and we will put him out there to work because we do have an aging prison population, jail administration, we have that. So we put these young individuals to work and get some sweat equity out of them since they are young and actually can do the work.
So he was judged just like the others, and he got 50 years. This young man probably read at the second grade level.
Wow.
He was part of our alternative school, um, sat there and helped him read, helped him make poems, helped him tell his story. And yet the justice system convicted him, gave him 50 years for just being the person who held a bike. This is somebody who needed education, somebody who needed counseling, somebody who needed direction. He got that from the gang members who took a life. So that's one of my worst of all time. Just to hear that he got 50 years. Yeah.
Um, hmm. As a Black man in professional spaces, what are some of the unspoken rules that you learn that no one ever sat down and explained?
Oh, wow. That you have to carry yourself in a certain manner. You have to be multilingual. You have to know the codes, the language that the majority culture we use. Your eyes and your ears have to be open because there are going to be times when you are going to be looked as an example of how Black folks are everywhere. And yet, you're not the see all, do all, be all Black man, but in many
Mhm.
eyes of majority culture, you are. And they're going to look to you as this is what Black people are like. This is what they believe in. This is how they carry themselves. So we have to be better than most, smarter than anybody in the room, and carry ourselves in a professional manner.
Have you ever been in a room where you felt your integrity was being tested, and how did you have to respond, or how did you respond?
Yes, yes, yes. There are times when and you people call me uh head or Mr. Thompson when I'm feeling threatened, when I'm feeling that there's a spirit in that room where they see me as less than, then I say, well, actually, I'm Dr. Thompson. I have,
That part.
yes, I have something to give. And that usually stops that right away.
Hmm.
Um, Many times, individuals in that situation, they look to names and numbers and initials and things like that. And for me, I'm just a guy. You know, I'm Ted. I'm uncle,
Hmm.
godfather, deacon, daddy, pop off to the kids, and I don't have to use those other fancy names. But yeah, I do use that title when I'm feeling threatened and put off.
And the sad part is that you have to in fact do that. I've been in different spaces, and like it honestly, where I ran across that to where someone is trying to, I call it, look down on you, to where you have to say, I am educated. Don't what we call it, don't let this fool you. That's the
Yeah,
best way I could put it for YouTube.
yeah,
But
exactly.
it's sad, and I can see in different spaces why people would metaphorically try you.
Mhm.
I call it poking the bear.
There you
And
go.
it's unfortunate that that still, in fact, it used to happen back then, and then think about it, like it still happens to this day,
Exactly.
because as you know, those letters, those powerful letters of doctor, right, means a lot. That means you went through a lot, and that's time,
A
a
lot.
lot of
Yes.
time to, in fact, get there. But it's so sad that, especially when it comes to us as Black people, they can't necessarily take it away, but they can definitely try to do things to make it smaller. And
Yes.
or not to double speak, but to do things to where, as a matter of fact, because I don't know, and I'm gonna be vulnerable with this. Can you
All
have your
right.
doctorate taken away? Is that a thing?
Um, I don't think that's such a thing, but maybe if
Okay,
it's an honorary doctorate, they can take it away.
okay.
Like
Because I thought
some
about it.
universities will prescribe a doctorate on somebody and say, ah, no, you did too much. Yeah.
Okay, because I thought about like when people do egregious things, and they'll say like, "Oh, your teaching certificate," or stuff like that is like taken. So I wonder,
Right.
like in regards to the prestige of like different titles, can those titles like masters, can they be taken away? Can doctors be taken away in regards to things and such, or do you still are you still able to have your title in regards to education?
As far as I know, you will continue to have it. I mean, you did
Okay,
all the work. It was bestowed on you and
gotcha.
credited to you. Yes.
Gotcha, gotcha. Thank you for clearing it up.
You're
I just
welcome.
had a question. I'm pretty sure other people might have asked that, or if they didn't ask, now they know. I'm about to say y'all found out here.
That's all right. That's all right.
um, let's see. So you have been doing this for quite some time, and I say that respectfully. You've been doing this for quite some time.
Yes.
So, when you started working with children over 20 years ago, what were the biggest struggles then, and how does it compare to what you're seeing now?
Good one. The struggles before were environmental. I say they were just strictly environmental. And again, the matter of access. Does this particular student have enough clothes? Or does the family have running water, heat, food, and lights in the house? Now, besides environmental, you've got all these other factors that are on.
The adverse childhood experiences study is something that everybody needs to know about. It was done by Dr. Vince Felitti at Kaiser and Dr. Bob Onda at the CDC. And together, they asked 17,500 adults about their history of exposure to what they called adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. Those include physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, physical or emotional neglect, parental mental illness, substance dependence, incarceration, parental separation or divorce, or domestic violence. For every yes, you would get a point on your ACE score. And then what they did was they correlated these ACE scores against health outcomes. What they found was striking. Two things. Number one, ACEs are incredibly common. 67% of the population had at least one ACE, and 12.6%, 1 in 8, had 4 or more ACEs. The second thing that they found was that there was a dose-response relationship between ACEs and health outcomes. The higher your ACE score, the worse your health outcomes. For a person with an ACE score of 4 or more, their relative risk of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease was 2.5 times that of someone with an ACE score of 0. For hepatitis, it was also 2.5 times. For depression, it was 4.5 times. For suicidality, it was 12 times. A person with an ACE score of 7 or more had triple the lifetime risk of lung cancer and 3.5 times the risk of ischemic heart disease, the #1 killer in the United States of America. Well, of course, this makes sense. You know, some people looked at this data and they said, come on, you have a rough childhood, you're more likely to drink and smoke and do all these things that are going to ruin your health. This isn't science. This is just bad behavior. It turns out this is exactly where the science comes in. We now understand, better than we ever have before, how exposure to early adversity affects the developing brains and bodies of children. It affects areas like the nucleus accumbens, the pleasure and reward center of the brain that is implicated in substance dependence. It inhibits the prefrontal cortex, which is necessary for impulse control and executive function, a critical area for learning. And on MRI scans, we see measurable differences in the amygdala, the brain's fear response center. So there are real neurologic reasons why folks exposed to high doses of adversity are more likely to engage in high-risk behavior. And that's important to know. But it turns out that even if you don't engage in any high-risk behavior, you're still more likely to develop heart disease or cancer. The reason for this has to do with the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the brain's and body's stress response system that governs our fight or flight response. How does it work? Well, imagine you're walking in the forest and you see a bear. Immediately, your hypothalamus sends a signal to your pituitary, which sends a signal to your adrenal gland that says, release stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol. And so your heart starts to pound, your pupils dilate, your airways open up, and you are ready to either fight that bear or run from the bear. And that is wonderful if you're in a forest and there's a bear. But the problem is what happens when the bear comes home every night. And this system is activated over and over and over again. And it goes from being adaptive or life-saving to maladaptive or health-damaging. Children are especially sensitive to this repeated stress activation because their brains and bodies are just developing. High doses of adversity not only affect brain structure and function, they affect the developing immune system, developing hormonal systems, and even the way our DNA is read and transcribed. So for me, this information threw my old training out the window, because when we understand the mechanism of a disease, when we know not only which pathways are disrupted, but how, then as doctors, it is our job to use this science for prevention and treatment. That's what we do.
All the traumatic losses, dad and mom are not there, being raised by grandparents. The neighborhood is drug infested. The gangs are fighting over territory. The landlord has not kept the building up to code. Um, then the desert, the food deserts. There's not a supermarket within a mile of their house. Mom has to get on the bus to go to find a decent supermarket. Um, there's no dentist in their neighborhood. They have to go 5 miles to find a decent dentist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all these plus the environmental, you have the daily grind, the struggle. Things are just compounded from where I first started. Compounded.
So, do you think, like, with all these different changes, of course, you're talking about like the food deserts, the actual matter of access in regards to shelter, food, what are they called? The basic living essentials that you have to in fact
Exactly.
have.
Exactly.
So I want to ask something kind of twofold. Do you think that children have changed in order to adapt to what's
Mm.
happening? And is that what we're seeing in the world now? Or do you think in general that kids have changed?
Hmm. Good question. I think kids are less sensitive. I think kids are hardened. It's like they're in a war to survive, a war to um, live day to day. Part of something I said in my dissertation, which is older than dirt, it was done in 99, is that children who are affected by trauma, and I talked about witnessing violence, community violence, and family, those three things, all those kids have some kind of resilience. But witnessing violence takes a toll. Community violence takes a toll. And family violence, definitely, that really impacts our kids. I looked at PTSD also. It's like being a prisoner of war or coming back from a war. Kids are entering war zones every day, especially those who are in the cities. And it definitely impacts who they are. So our kids today are definitely different. They're being raised by parents who do not have the support as we had, at least in my generation or the generation following that, where they had Big Ma who can come over and watch them after school, or Auntie who, the one that was not working or was going to school, to stay and watch them after they got home. We had all that with my family. And then you had the school groups, school Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, all those agencies and youth clubs. A lot of that has gone away. They don't have it.
So, so you were talking about the concept of like the community in regards to watching the child, right? Whether it's community within your family or community outside in regards to having different opportunities for children to be involved with and get into the sun and be
Yes.
outside.
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
how has trauma in children evolved, in your opinion, in the last 2 decades? I know you were talking about kind of the concept of like children metaphorically going into war zones, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Literally no pun intended, right? But
Yes.
like what was some other things that were different back then versus like what we see now?
Mm, good question. Before, it was safe. People judge it as safe to be on your neighborhood, on your street. Families watched out for families. Your neighbor, Miss Sally, across the way, she was at her front window always, and she knew everybody's name. I know your mama. Hey, Michelle, get away from that boy. He no good. Or Tommy, don't hang with those older boys. You too young. That kind of stuff. Nowadays, you can't tell, or you can't come up to a kid and say, "Hey, you wrong. Stop it," without looking around to see if you're not going to get punched. Oh my goodness.
So true. Oh my gosh.
Jump in anytime because you see the kids in the stores, they just don't have good home training. People would
Mhm.
tell you they don't have no home training. Some of these kids are growing up like weeds. Yes.
Lord Jesus.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
so hmm. Back then, oh, matter of fact, I'm gonna ask you something. What did home
Go ahead.
training look like back then?
Oh, good one. Home training. Yeah. Everybody knew that a kid's place was to sit and listen. Nowadays, these kids think they have the right to talk and tell you anything. A kid's place is to be quiet. Uh, Kids were asked to learn from their adults, respect their adults, and learn from the teacher and respect the teacher. Nowadays, kids will come home and say, "That teacher told me to be quiet." The mother or the father will not question this kid. Hey, what were you doing? Not knowing that this kid was standing on his desk and barking like a dog, doing crazy things.
Hmm. I can understand. So I'm gonna give a pushback, right? So
Yes.
in my brain, I talked to a guest about this before too, that her name is Sierra Ward, and she actually has been on my channel as well too. And she talked in regards to the opposite of her wanting her children to be able to stand up and talk and to not just go for whatever. Now she doesn't want them to be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form.
All right.
But she does want them to have the autonomy that if something is wrong, then yes, you can say it's wrong. So it's different to kind of see the different type of parenting styles because I feel like I'm kind of in between.
There you
I feel
go.
like I don't have children yet, but when I do, I don't want my child to be just talking back to adults, thinking that they're an adult themselves. But I also think that, like, when I do become a parent, I want to be able to listen to them because they're not empty vessels, and they do
Mhm.
want to be able to. They should be able to communicate how they feel and things as such. Here's what's coming up next on Surviving and Thriving: The Black Experience. Do you think that children today are more emotionally aware or just emotionally overwhelmed?
That's an excellent question. Um, I'm gonna have to say emotionally um, aware because I think they have more of a greater sense of mental health than what we had growing up. Our our generation and then those that we raised, we were told that, hey, for me, my uncle came back from Vietnam. Now, Uncle Lonnie, he's a little off. He got over there in Vietnam and he got into some stuff. So when he come to the house, don't let Uncle Lonnie in because all he's gonna do is beg and want some stuff. And then we had my uncle across the street, Uncle Hugh. He went to Vietnam, but he's different. He survived. You can let him in because he got all his stuff together. But Uncle Lonnie, don't let him in. So we call it something else. We didn't have that mental health knowledge that they do, bipolar, schizophrenic,
Hmm.
all that kind of stuff.
It's so interesting because I couldn't imagine how we as people had to function back then when our
Mhm.
ailments, our the loss of
Yeah.
faculties and things like that were not considered an actual illness, was not